Hello everyone, welcome to the February 2018 Upgrade webinar. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. My name is Claudine Ting and I'm the Marketing Specialist for Client Success here at SmartSimple. So we have many new exciting features and excitements to walk you through today. We'll start off with a high-level walkthrough of what's new from the February 2018 upgrade, then we'll open the lines up for all your questions. Please note that a complete list of all features and enhancements included in the February 2018 upgrade is available on the SmartSimple Wiki. The Wiki outlines all global, on-demand, and beta features and provides configuration notes for your system administrator. Before we begin, I'd like you to mark your calendars and attend the SmartSimple events that we have in store for you this year. We have Block Party Toronto on April 19th, Block Party San Francisco on May 24th, Block Party Chicago on June 7th, Block Party New York City on September 6th, Block Party Nashville on October 17th, and our biggest event of the year, Elevate 2018 on October 17th to 19th. We also want to remind you that we'll be attending trade shows this March. We're going to be at the ACCP in Portland, CF United in Las Vegas, and the Peak Grant Making Annual Conference in Orlando. Also, don't forget to sign up for the webinar lined up for this month, the GDPR webinar on March 6th, and setting up your company and contact security matrix on March 13th and 15th. Lastly, on March 4th, we're going live with 24/5 support. Monday to Friday, we're providing 24 hours of live phone and online support. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to today's presenter, Arjun Hiranandani, who is one of our technical account advisors. He's been with SmartSimple for over 2 years now and currently provides level 2 support to SmartSimple users and also works as a dedicated support representative for premium support clients. During the webinar, you're welcome to ask your questions by typing it into the chat box within your Zoom console. Otherwise, feel free to ask all your questions over the phone at the end. And now, I'll pass it over to Arjun to get started.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everybody, for taking out the time to join us in this webinar where we will be going through our February 2018 upgrade. We'll be showing you the features or the enhancements that were introduced in this upgrade. And as mentioned by Claudine, feel free to ask any questions or type in the chat box, and we'll try our best to address them. So without further delay, let's discuss some global system upgrades that were applied in February 2018. These changes are applied automatically all across the platform. So we have approximately 7 to 9 global system upgrades or the features that we introduced in this upgrade. So let's quickly go through the system and see those upgrades. The first one is deprecation of user types. So if you remember, before the upgrade, whenever we used to create a new user, or whether we used to go to our own profile or access anybody's profile, under the options, roles and access, we used to have the access type as admin or portal interface, user-centric or applicant interface, web service client access, or no access. Now we have reduced it and we just have 3 access types. One is user access, second is API access, and third is no access. Similarly, the user type, we used to have a user, a local user, or a global user. Now we just have a toggle. If we turn this toggle off, then that means that the person is just a user in the system. And if we turn the toggle on, the person is a global user of the system. So this is one of the feature or the enhancement around the roles and access that we have deprecated some user type options. Number 2 is the simplified configuration pages. So while I'm on this page, I'll show you, and you must have noticed by now that on the top right-hand side, you see a toggle for advanced options. Now, we have basically simplified the configuration pages. Anywhere in the system where you can configure, you will see this advanced option toggle. And if you turn it on, you will see some extra information. Right now it's turned on, so you'll see all the information. If I turn it off, you'll see my information is reduced. If I turn it on again, I see some more information. Similarly, if I go to any custom field settings, so if I go to my UTA, and this is available, as I said, all across our configuration pages. So if I go to maybe a level 1 custom field settings, and if I open any custom field, I'll have this advanced option toggle up here as well. So if it is turned off, I see limited information. So I only see certain information on my main page, and on my permissions and availability page, I see certain information. You remember, or you might have noticed by now, that I don't see a visibility condition box at all. The moment I turn on my advanced option, and if I scroll down, I'll see the visibility condition box. So on all our configuration pages, we have this advanced toggle option. Moving forward, in this upgrade, we have basically changed the custom field type names. So if you go to Wiki, you'll see that we have uploaded a list where we have the name of the fields, that what was the name before the upgrade and what are the names after the upgrade and under which category or the group they belong. One good example would be a text box single line field. So before the upgrade, whenever we used to create a normal text box single line field, we had the option to put a validation on that field, such as numeric, alphanumeric, a date field, or just a simple number. Now, after the upgrade, we have basically granularized this and have made it separate. So now, after the upgrade, we have a text box date field, we have a text box number field, we have a text box phone number field, we also have a text box text line field, and we also have a text box email field. So now, whenever we want to make our text box field to have any email address, we don't have to put any special validation because the system will by default take it as an email. Because previously, before the upgrade, whenever we used to have a field where we want the users to enter their email address, after making that field, we had to put a validation that, okay, this field should accept only email addresses, and the admin has to hard code the condition on the scripting box. But now we don't need this anymore because we have made these fields separate. So if we go back to our system, if I go back to my custom field list and if I create a new field, and from the field type, you'll see that I have common input types. So this is my group. I have computed input types. This is my group. I have special input types. This is my group. Again, I have display control types. I have special and I have classic. So if I go back to my normal common input types, so you'll see I have a text box date field, I have a text box email field, I have a text box number field, I have a text box phone number field, and using these fields, I can use them and customize my application from the way I want. Moving forward, the fourth global update is we have enhanced the user creation and modification process. So if you remember, before the upgrade, if you had to activate a user, you had to go to their profile, and once you're on their profile, you had to, in order to give this user access to the system, you had to go to options, roles and access, select the access type from no access to user access, and then give them the user type, give them the necessary roles. Now we have reduced the number of clicks in this way. So instead of going to the options tab and clicking on roles and access, once you're on a user profile, you will see this icon here. On the top right hand side, you see this icon that says right now, because my user is activated, if I just hover over that icon, it says click to deactivate. If I click on this, it will prompt me for a message. Are you sure you want to deactivate this user? Similarly, if I have a user who is not active, so let's quickly go to my user search and let's see if I can activate or deactivate any user. So how about this one? So right now, this user is deactivated because if I keep my mouse on this, it says click to activate. The moment I click on click to activate, it will prompt me with a pop-up saying, are you sure you want to activate this user? And it gives me an option. Either I can activate it simply, or I can activate and send a password. If I just click on activate, the user will have access to the system. However, they still need a password, or you have to set a password for them manually. Or if you just click on activate and send password, it will activate as well as send them a temporary password email. And moving forward, the next global update that we have done is around configuration mode. Before the upgrade, if a system used or if a system had a versioning on it, so configuration mode never used to work if you were on a particular version. But with this upgrade, with the 2018 upgrade, configuration mode now works on versioning also. So let's quickly go to a tracking application and let's open a record. And you'll see that I have versioning enabled. So before the upgrade, version used to work irrespective whether you have versioning or if you are on a core field set. So now if I move my version from a core field set so that my application is on a particular version, now under edit mode, if I go to options, I see my configuration mode option. And if I open that, I can actually change my captions, change my field type, change the permissions and stuff. So with 2018, we have enhanced configuration mode, and now you can use configuration mode on a version as well. Not only this, if you go back to the core field set, there is one more enhancement around the configuration mode. So if you're on a core field set, and if you want to use configuration mode on a core field set, so I'm on a core field set record, and I enable configuration mode, and if I click on any of the field, it opens up the box. The second enhancement around this is using configuration mode. Now you can create a new field as well. So now you don't have to go back to the custom field page and then create a new custom field in the core field set. You can directly create it from the record by using a config mode. Moving forward, the next upgrade around our February upgrade is enhanced file upload interface. So with this, what we have done is we have enabled bulk download from the record itself. And not only this, you can now rename the file on the fly without changing the date timestamp. And the best thing about this new enhanced file upload interface is that we have actually increased the width of the file name column, so that when you upload something and if it has a bigger name, it can be displayed all across the screen. So if I go into any record where I have this multiple file field upload, so I'm opening a record, I go to supporting documents, and you'll see that I have a PDF upload preview. You'll see this interface now. My file name has a huge column. So if I have a file name that I'm uploading which has a big name, it will not cut off or wrap. It will be displayed properly. I can select multiple files together, and I can download both the files together, and it will be downloaded in a zip folder. Not only this, the beauty about this is I can rename the file without changing the timestamp. So you see that right now my file 240.pdf was uploaded today at 9:19 a.m. in the morning. Using the three dots here, if I click this, I can either rename it or delete it. So if I want to rename it, I click on rename. It gives me the option to rename the file, and I'll say testing. And once I name it, using the save icon here, I can save it. So I clicked on this, my name has been changed to testing, and you'll notice that my timestamp did not change. It still shows me 9:19. So that's the enhancement around this, that you can change the file names on the fly. The other important feature that was introduced in this upgrade is the hierarchy navigation bar. Before the upgrade, if I was on a grant application or a level 1 and I had to go back to my UTA main page, I either had to use this back button, or I had to use my grid icon and go back to my UTA main page. But now from the record, and we had one more option, that was an icon up at the top here, between somewhere here, that was to take you back to your UTA homepage. But with this upgrade, we have removed that icon, and now we have given you this hierarchy bar, and using the bar, you can actually click here, and it will take you to a level 1 or a level above. So the moment I clicked it, it took me back to the main UTA page if I am on a level 2. So let's go to a level 2 and let's see how the hierarchy bar looks like. So if I open a level 1, go to the level 2 of it, open the level 2, and you'll see that now my hierarchy bar gives me, it shows me that I am on an activity right now. It gives me the option to go to the parent of it, which is my level 1. it also gives me the option directly to go back to the UTA. So before we used to have the option under here. So it's a option, and we used to have something called go to, and it used to give me either go back to my UTA or go back to my grant application. But now we don't have the go to option here. We have the bar instead. One more feature around this bar is you can hide this bar if you don't want somebody to see this bar. And how we can hide this bar is we go to our global settings, we go to our security tab, we go to system feature permissions, and clicking on the feature permission tab, the first option says disable hierarchy navigation. By selecting the roles, I can disable that those particular roles will not see, or users within those roles will not see the hierarchy when they access any record. So these were our major upgrades, major global upgrades in February 2018 upgrade. Now moving forward to our minor upgrades. So if I go back quickly to my presentation, so we discussed deprecation of user types, we discussed simplified configuration pages, I showed you the wiki article and the way now we can create custom fields because the names are changed. I also displayed simplified user creation and modification. We discussed file upload interface and the new hierarchy record navigation bar and the configuration mode. Moving forward, we do have some minor updates as well. So let's go back to our system and let's discuss the minor updates. The first minor update was simplified portal link generation. Before the upgrade, if I was setting up a portal, so if I go into my roles and security, if I go into my user roles and maybe in a particular role or in the common role, if I had to reference a report or a list view on my portal, I had to remember the report ID, I had to remember the syntax, and then come to my section. So maybe let's say, so if I go into a common role and under my main menu tab, if I want to create a new link for a report here maybe. So I click on add, I type in my caption and I say testing, and I'll say testing, just a description here. And now using this URL lookup, if I click on the URL lookup, it will give me the option, what object type am I selecting? Am I selecting something from my corporate giving UTA? Am I selecting something from a report? Am I putting some autoloader link? So now I don't need to hard code anything. So for example, let me see if I can put any autoloader. So if I click on autoloader, it will give me all the available autoloaders. So I have one autoloader available, that is Dropbox. I clicked on the Dropbox. It says me which folder you want to look it for, and I'll say, okay, that's my object. And I click on apply. So you will see that my autoloader link is automatically uploaded here now. So now if I put this on my portal, when I log in and I view it, there will be automatically a button for me directly pointing to that particular folder on the autoloader. This just eases the configuration for the system admins because, as I mentioned before this, you had to remember, you had to go in, inspect, copy the URL from there, and then come back here, paste the URL, test it. But now the system will do it for you. All you have to do is just use the interface to select the proper object types and the proper folders, and it will give you the link as is. Moving forward, now we have a new thing that we can name a file that will be exported using our file export in the reports. So previously, before the upgrade, if I ran a report and I clicked on file export, it used to export it in a name called book or book 1 or book 2, a standard name it used to take, or we used to hard code the file name. Now the interface gives you an option to write the name of the file export file. So you go into our reports and open any report. So maybe I open budget type for programs report. Once I'm in the edit report section, if I click on file export, I have a new field here that says export file name. I can enter any name here, and when I will export this file, it will give me the file name. So this is something new in reports. Moving forward, we have enhanced report builder with column drag and drop. Previously, and I've done webinars on reports, I've presented sessions on reports, and a lot of people used to ask me that if I want to move one column in a report builder to another column, I have to simply keep on clicking until I reach to its designated place. Now, with the upgrade, we have removed the option and we have made it a little easy. And if I click on report builder, and if I maximize my report builder, now instead of having the arrow keys on my column, I simply have, all I have to do is I have to click on the column and I can move it anywhere I want. If I have 50 columns and if I want to move column number 1 to 49 position, instead of clicking one at a time, I can just simply click on the column and keep on dragging it unless I reach to its designated place and simply drop it. Similarly, the other option around this is, again, you can delete it like this just by clicking on the 3 dots, and it will give you an option to delete. Because previously, before the upgrade, if you had to delete something from a report, you had to replace that column to the very end, or you had to move that column to the very end on the right hand side and then reduce the number of columns. But now you can simply click on these small little icon and you can select delete, and it will actually delete that column from the report. So this is about the report. Just a second, guys, I by mistake closed my screen share. So I believe everybody can see my screen again now. Sorry about that. So the next point is the same thing, the same dragging dropping is now available on a section XML builder. So if I go back to my custom field settings, so if I go to my UTA and if I go to my configuration settings and if I click on grant, if I go click on custom field, and if I search for an XML field. Now XML fields, their name has changed. So in order for simplicity, I just type in table. It gives me all my table fields. I don't have any here. So let's see. Okay, I don't have any table field here also. So let me just go to my global settings and let me search for a field here. So if I click on custom fields from the global settings page, and if I click on table, it gives me all my advanced data table sets. If I open any of my XML field, which is now called special advanced data table, if I go to my section builder and if I open any section, the same feature is here. So instead of clicking on the column and moving it to left or right, I can simply pick the column and I can drag it anywhere. And similarly, I can click on these 3 options and I can delete them. So this is around the XML data table. Another minor update that we have is a split screen option on the level 1 also. So before the upgrade, the split screen only used to work on the list views, or it used to work on a level 2. So for example, if you were on a level 2 record, so if I go back to my application, open an activity, and I'm on an activity now. So if I had to split screen, I had to click on options and I had to click on, or I have to go into the tools and I have to say show grant. In this way, it used to show me my activity along with my application. Now we have a similar feature on the level 1. So now let me go back to my level 1. So I'm on my level 1 now, and on my level 1 now I can split the screen and I can see my organization profile and see the user profile. So on my level 1, I click on options and I say show customer. So it shows me my organization. So now I can, from the record itself, I can actually navigate through the organization profile, can grab any information if I need. And similarly, using the options tab under tools, I can hide it. And the same way, I can click on options and I can click on the user. So if I click on the user, it will take me to the owner's profile, and the same way I can hide it. So on level 1, we have enhanced the split screen option for easy access to view the organization and the contact profile. Another minor update around this February 2018 upgrade is we have now started keeping a track of any changes made to the system variable. Now, system variables are crucial fields in the system because they can be used globally across the field. So if any changes were made on that, we never used to know who made that change. But now on a system variable, we have audit history. So if you go to any system variable and if you open the system variable, up at the top, now you have an update history option. Clicking on that will actually show you the update history, who did it, who did not do it, when it was done. So let's see if I add one more thing. So I say, okay, I just added a number and I just clicked on save. Now if I click on my update history will show that it was updated by me. My value that was updated was this, and the timestamp is today's time. So in this way, now we can keep a track of the audit history on system variables. Moving forward, we enhance the trigger when option for a workflow type called tracking activity assignment. So before the upgrade, there was a workflow called trigger tracking activity assignment. So if I go to my workflow, from the workflow drop down, I had a workflow called tracking activity assignment type workflow. And before the upgrade, the trigger on for this workflow was only limited to assign section, contact section, or both. But now the enhancement around this is that now you can trigger this workflow based on role as well. So whatever role you have in the system, all those role options will show up here and you can select it. So anytime that role, anything that happens on that role, we can trigger a workflow so that it assigns people to that role. Moving forward, we have another minor update that was around the IRS field integration that we do on our sign-up pages. So if I go to my global settings and I open any sign-up page that uses IRS verification, so I go to my organization page and I click on sign-up pages. I keep on scrolling down, or maybe I open just any sign-up page. So I say external organization US sign-up page, and on the bottom we have a third-party verification that says external verification settings as IRS. Now, once I have this IRS enabled here, I get this field that says additional automatic field population. I click on the plus sign and I see a bunch of fields. So in this upgrade, we have added 3 new fields. We have added ruling date, we have added tax period, and we have added asset code. Before the upgrade, we had fields till the sort name, but after that, we have ruling date, tax period, and asset code. So these are our minor updates. If I go back to my presentation to see if we covered all our minor updates, let's see. We spoke about simplified portal link generation, naming report exports, enhanced report builder with column drag and drop, enhanced data table section with column drag and drop, extended split screen mode, audit history for system variables, updated tracking activities assignment workflow, and searchable IRS attribute. We added the new fields there. Moving forward, we have some on-demand system upgrades. Now, for on-demand system upgrades, these are features that you must either contact us to enable, or if you're a global system admin, you can enable these features yourself. So let's go into the system and see what are our on-demand system upgrades. So if I go back to my system, the first one is we have added some variables around general linking. So when I say general linking, I mean if I was using a workflow email that goes to the applicant and I wanted to hard code a link on that workflow or whenever that applicant clicks on that link, it will take them to their application record. Now, before the upgrade, what we used to do is we used to hard code a bunch of syntax on that particular workflow email, and we used to use a bunch of variables that will decode and will give them the link. Now we have simplified that because we have added certain variables in the database, and some of the variables are some examples are object tokens. So I'll quickly go into Wiki and I'll show you what are those variables that we have introduced. The variables that we have introduced are, the new variables are obj token. So what this does is it returns just the token parameter of the current record. So for example, if the email was sent from a level 1 to the applicant, and on the email we use this variable called @obj token @, when the email goes out to the person, the variable will be resolved and the variable will automatically have the link of that particular record. Similarly, if I wanted that record to be seen only in view mode, I have a syntax called add obj token _ view add. And similarly, we have introduced 3 more variables that predefine or that resolves and saves time for hard coding. Moving forward, the second thing in the on-demand upgrade is we have a variable for standard fields to be referenced in smart fields. So before the upgrade, when we used to create a web page view form and we had to display or reference my custom fields, I simply used a variable called add smart fields add, and there was no way to reference standard fields. Now I can reference my standard fields using the variable called add smart fields standard. So if I go back to my wiki really very quickly, you will see the variable that says add smart field standard add. If I use this variable on my web page view, it will automatically pull all my standard fields that are visible to that person. Moving forward, we have the other thing which is called the enhanced login page template. So if I quickly go to my global settings and if I go to my branding section and I click on login pages, and if I create a new login page, you will see that on my new login page I have this new option called page formatting. Now on our login page I can use a background image. I can color the background to whatever color I want. This just gives the ease for me to configure my login page the way I want, including my background options as well. Third is view option for emulation mode. So in the last couple of upgrades, we have been focusing on emulation mode. So we introduced emulation mode, then we introduced emulation mode based on roles. Now we have a new feature or a new permission that gives you access to emulate somebody only in view mode. So if I go to my global settings and if I go to my security tab and if I go to my system feature permissions, and if I go to my feature permissions, I have a new setting here that says enable emulation mode view only. So when I give somebody this role, or if I select any role here, and if that role enables or emulates some other role, they will only be able to emulate that person view mode. So they won't be able to make any changes, but they can just view the application or view the record or view their profile or view their organization profile. The other minor update we have is disable the clear button on an XML table. So if you remember, whenever you open an XML table, you see 3 buttons at the bottom. You see a save button, you see a clear button, and you see a delete button. Now the clear button was a platform button, and now we have an option within the custom field that you can disable the clear button. So if I go back really quickly to my XML field, so if I go back to my custom field and if I open any XML field, on my XML field on the general settings tab, under button options I have show clear button, which is by default checked. So if I uncheck that, my clear button will not be visible on my XML table anymore. Last but not the least, we have another minor update, that is you can now set languages for generated PDF. So if your system uses different languages, you can just trigger a workflow task to generate PDF, and this time you can use a language in which language you want the PDF to be generated. So if I go to my workflow and if I look at my test workflow, if I go to my task, or if I go to my activity submitted workflow, and if I look at my task, if I have any generated PDF task, well, I can quickly create one. So I say new task, and I say task type generate PDF. And the moment I click on generate PDF, it gives me an option PDF render language. So I can actually change my language to any other language which my system supports, and my PDF will be generated in that language. Moving forward, we just have a beta version of, so we discussed these minor updates. Moving forward, we have a new a new feature which is still in the beta version, and that feature is new automated translation. Now, what is this new automated translation? This new automated translation is basically you can create translations of custom fields. So instead of manually creating the translation, the system can create a translation for you. So it's a 2-step process. Step number one is you go to any custom field. So let's quickly go to Budget Manager. I go to my settings. I go to my level 3. I go to my custom field, and let's say if I want to create a translation for my adjustment amount field. So if I open my field, on the field itself, I have a feature that says enable translation service. So step number one is I enable my translation service on the respective field. I save it, and then I go back to my workflow section, and I just have to create a simple workflow that will create the translation for me. So I create a workflow. So I've already created a test workflow. Under my test workflow, if I go to Task tab, there is a new task called Translate Field Values. The moment I select that, it gives me translate to what, and I've selected the languages. So once this workflow runs, automatically the field value, the field will have a translation in that respective language. So this is still in beta version. In the coming upgrades, there will be more enhancements around this feature. Moving forward, and a very last and a simple topic is we have some notes for our administration or our users who are global admins. Please do check our wiki for notes for admin section.
Okay, thank you so much for that presentation, Arjun. So now we're going to start answering the questions that we've received. First question that we have, what is the purpose for advanced options and why hide it?
Thank you. That's a very good question. The purpose of advanced option is or let me say that when we never used to have this advanced option, whenever you used to go, any user who had access to the system used to go in there and they were exposed to fields or something or options that either they should not use, or if they use, they should be sure that they are using it correctly so that they don't break anything in the system, or those were those options which required some hard coding. So what we did was we wanted a user to only see those things that are user interface and are just configured by using a click. Now we cannot take away other advanced options, so that's why we enabled a toggle so that a person who does not have that advanced toggle option checked off, they go into the configuration pages and they just see basic things so that they can configure basic custom fields, they can configure basic paths, they can configure the basic stuff. A person who has advanced knowledge of the system, it's good for them. They enable the advanced toggle option and then they are exposed to a lot of information. They can play around with stuff. So the only reason to have the advanced option toggle was to just simplify configuration pages and nothing else. No functionality is changed. It's just to simplify things because there are certain areas in custom fields or in any configuration pages where if you miss even a single semicolon, it will break the page. So it's good to not expose things which may cause any problems.
Thank you, Arjun. Next question that we have, regarding the split screen ability to view the company or owner records on level 1, is it possible to rename company and owner to reflect the terms we use in our organization to organization and applicants?
Thank you so much for that question, and I was hoping somebody will definitely ask that question. When I was demonstrating that particular section of the webinar of the upgrade feature, I was in my view mode. So basically, we noticed this yesterday that in a view mode, it was just pulling the standard field name. But if you are in edit mode, and if you do the same thing, if you are in edit mode on the record, if you click on options and if you check that list, it will actually show you the standard field caption that you use in your system. So we have already reported this issue to our development team and they have already fixed the issue. So tonight there is a service pack. So starting tomorrow, both in view and edit mode, it will show you whatever terminology you use in your system. However, just for today, if you are in view mode, it will show you the standard field name. But if you're in edit mode, it will show you the caption value, that the terminology that you use for your system.
Thank you so much, Arjun. Okay, so just wanted to check if there are any questions that are coming in, if there's still time. right, Arjun, I think we can start wrapping up the presentation. Again, we'd like to thank everyone who attended today. We'd like to remind everyone to attend the SmartSimple events that we have in store for you. Block Party Toronto, San Francisco, Chicago, New York City, Nashville, and Elevate 2018. Trade shows would be ACCP, the conference in Portland, CF United in Las Vegas, Peak Grant Making in Orlando, Florida. And don't forget to register for our webinars, the GDPR webinar, and setting up your company and contact security matrix. Lastly, 24/5 support is coming on March 4th. Starting March 4th, we'll be providing 24-hour support Monday to Friday anywhere in the world. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to join today's webinar. We hope that you found the materials useful. If any questions pop up along the way, Arjun and the SmartSimple support team are always here to help. Have a great day.